Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to introduce this legal and compliance analytics domain space to all of you. I'm not sure how much you have heard about this. And I got introduced to this 6-7 years back, and I also was wondering, is it even possible? What is that we are going to do in analytics with legal and compliance domain? But after spending 6-7 years and working with a couple of multi-billion-dollar company, I can tell you this is one of the satisfying roles which I have taken so far. So just to help you understand why legal and compliance analytics is needed in medtech industry, I want to give you a little bit of context about the business. So in medtech, the commercial teams are needed, like inherent need to interact with the HCP and HCOs just to understand what are the next surgical equipment, what are the next medical device which is needed, and help them understand and get trained on certain surgical equipments. And the relationship is so intimate that they even come along in the surgery rooms to ensure they are using the product safely and making sure the patient's safety is taken care, which is of the highest importance. So yeah, there is interaction because this is a medical device which needs to be ensured everybody is using as per the SOPs, as per the procedures are done in the right way. There is a complex transfer of value. We do a lot of interactions and a lot of direct and indirect payments like consulting, grants, donations, sponsorships, proctorships. Because these medical devices are, needs to be, there are surgeries, right, which are going to happen. So everybody needs to understand, the doctors needs to be trained. So we do a lot of consulting agreements with them to help them train on how to use the product, what are the SOPs, etc. So there are a lot of direct and indirect payments which are happening with these entities and healthcare professionals. So what is the risk? The risk comes from outliers. The risk comes from too frequent interactions, too frequent payments, which might exceed as per the norms, as per the policies, as per the regulatory authorities. And the regulatory authorities keeps a very strong scrutiny around it, just to ensure that the medical device companies are not trying to influence the decision of the doctors, and that may not be in the best interest of the patient. And we have seen multiple fines in the past, and they really come heavy on the medical device companies because that's the priority from the regulatory authorities' perspective, that the patient comes first and their safety comes first. And along with the financial loss, there is reputational damage as well, which is the next big impact. So I'm not going to deep dive too much on the technical architecture, how we are developing the capabilities. So there are, like if you see, there are structured and unstructured data which needs to be fed into the analytics platform. There are a lot of transactions which are coming from RDBMS. There are a lot of agreements, contracts, policies. And then we have the semantic layer wherein we are doing all these quality check layers, infusing all the business definitions, KPIs and metrics. And then there are a lot of new technology coming up, like the LLM context. We are building those algorithms which identify in outlier detection, and of course the RAG and the new technologies that are coming up. And eventually what capabilities we are building is the chatbots. For sure, it's the need of the hour. And then we have these AI-assisted visualization tools, and most importantly, the alerts. We are able to identify certain transactions which needs more focus from the legal and compliance councils of the organization, so that they can proactively review them and take some action. So I'm moving to the next slide, which talks about essentially the impact. So the impact really is for the early risk detection, wherein the legal and compliance counsels, which are essentially most of them are lawyers, they are not very tech savvy. They really get those outlier transactions in a very intuitive way, identifies all those emerging patterns, and they reach out to employees. They reach out to employees to help them understand that this is not right, these are beyond the policies, and they need to cut down on the spend. So that's really one, and then the business enablement, that's really key. So what happens is, with these capabilities, the legal and compliance counsels are getting capabilities which can help them identify the risk, then reach out to employees, help them understand, okay, what they can do, what they cannot do, how these recent transactions can be perceived differently with the regulatory authorities. And that really builds trust with the commercial teams. Once they understand, okay, this is not right, this is not the way to interact, or we are overspending, they really understand, okay, what next? How do we do this? So that conversation really helps the commercial teams who have that kind of confidence, reaching out to legal and compliance counsels of their respective country and discuss case-to-case basis that, okay, these are the need of the doctors, of the healthcare organizations, how do we fulfill them being within the policy and the rules. So what outputs we are getting is the business confidence from the commercial teams. They can confidently work towards the growth and ensuring they are not violating any policies, any rules, etc., which might get organizations into trouble. And also, since these legal and compliance counsels are less tech savvy, they are, and if you look at the number of legal and compliance counsel in a country, those are hardly 1 or 2 or 3. So you might understand or imagine what is the level of data transformation, data access they would have to go through so that they can create something and identify all those outliers and then take actions to really mitigate the risk. So they are getting these capabilities in form of dashboards, in form of chatbots, and very clear outliers in form of transactions, which goes into their queue, and they review them, investigate it, see what is going beyond the policies, and then they take those proactive actions. So these are like the 4 key impact areas for the organizations having this kind of a legal and compliance capabilities. Apart from that, this really helps them to move faster from the business standpoint, and really understanding what are my guardrails, right? And how do we want to do business to scale and then ensure we are regulatory compliant. Any questions? I know this domain space is not very common, so happy to answer any questions if you may. With that, I will end my presentation.